Hare Krishna. ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Sridham, Mayapur, welcomes you all in today's Mayapur live English talk show. Today we have a very special speaker with us, His Grace Kripa Nidhi Prabhu, who is Srila Prabhupada disciple. And today we are taking a very special topic, book distribution, his life and soul. So I wanted to share a glimpse of introduction of His Grace Kripa Nidhi Prabhu. He was initiated by Srila Prabhupada almost 52 years before, when he was 21 years of age, in Portland, Oregon, USA. On the direct order of Srila Prabhupada, he traveled and distributed books as a brahmachari for the next 11 years. In November 1977, he was briefly sent to Vrindavan, where he was present during the final pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. He was privileged to dig the Samadhi by hand for Srila Prabhupada on the night of November 14th, 1977, with one other brahmachari. He returned to India in 1983 and served as president of the New Delhi temple for 6 years. During this time, he opened the first Bhakti Yoga club at IIT Delhi, the Indian Institute of Technology, with a special focus on synthesis of science and religion. He also lectured and organized programs with ISKCON's Bhakti Vedanta Institute with a focus on Vedic apologetics. He returned to Canada in 1989, where he continued distributing books and preaching on university campuses as his main service for the next 30 years. Now he resides in Sridham, Mayapur with his family, where he serves Shri Shri Panchatattva on their altar, manages and hand-to-hand distributes Srila Prabhupada's books at the International Book Booth, offers regular worldwide Zoom classes, participates in Harinams and preaches Krishna consciousness to students, professors, pilgrims and guests. So it's our wonderful fortune that we are having His Grace Kripa Nidhi Prabhu to speak on the very interesting subject in our society, that is book distribution. And by hearing this introduction, we can understand that book distribution is his life and soul. So before we start, I would just like to ask Kripanidhi Prabhu that can you please share a brief introduction of yours from your side, that how you were connected with ISKCON when you were 21 years old.
Well, I was part of the youth movement in USA, North America, and Western countries. It was a large movement of radicals. We were called the radical left, and we were rejecting, the status quo of the American dream. And so I was part of that youth movement, and our leaders were the Beatles and other groups like that. They were Bob Dylan. So they wrote many protest songs about the problems in the world today, following this materialistic idea of material advancement will make you happy. So we were practically rejecting that kind of paradigm. So we were searching for answers. There was a lot of rejection and a lot of satirical songs and poetry, Allen Ginsberg and others, Alan Watts. These were philosophers, kind of modern day philosophers who were, questioning the merits of materialism. So the Hare Krishna movement started in the midst of this. Prabhupada was kind of lured into this huge revolutionary movement that was going on, especially in America. So he landed in New York. So I was part of that whole movement where we were kind of falsely rejecting everything. So I would meet devotees at various musical festivals like Woodstock and other musical festivals around North America, and I would get prasadam from them, and sometimes I'd buy their literature, but I never understood really the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So that's how I was gradually being drawn into becoming a devotee. And the Hare Krishna movement at that time was recognized as a part of this youth movement. We were the religion of the hippies, so to speak. And Srila Prabhupada was giving us a lot of direction and value in our lives. So that's how it started.
So thank you very much, Prabhu, for sharing a wonderful experience, like how you got connected with ISKCON, and your inquisitiveness to know the answers brought you to Krishna consciousness, and now you are here to give answers to the suffering souls in the world. It's so amazing. So we'll start our journey for the topic book distribution, his life and soul. We can see that Prabhu is always distributing Srila Prabhupada books. I'm staying in Sridham Mayapur for past 3 years, and I all the time I have seen him distributing Prabhupada books, talking very interactively with the pilgrims, visitors. So what was Srila Prabhupada's instruction to you about book distribution?
Srila Prabhupada in 1972, I first saw him when he arrived at the Portland airport, and he was extremely grave. At that time, we were mainly doing Harinam in the streets with a little bit of Bhakta Godhead magazines. The Prabhupada kept emphasizing that if people buy a large book, hardcover book, that they'd put it in their library, and they were compared to time bombs, which would go off, Whereas a magazine may, be left on a table or end up in, the wastebasket. It was really pushing us to distribute these large books of 400 pages. So that struck a lot of us. It really struck us that this is what Srila Prabhupada wants. And of course, we were internally very inspired by Srila Prabhupada. I mean, great personality, a great presence. And we would do anything for him. We were boys. We were 21-year-old boys. We had no experience in life. Basically, we were just coming out of our homes.
Yeah. So yes, I can trying to understand that was a book era when the books were coming, and you were inspired to distribute those books as per the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. So my next question is that we read or heard that you distributed books from 1989 for 30 years, and it's a very long duration for book distribution. So have you distributed to anyone famous?
Well, I distributed books in Los Angeles, which is the movie capital of the world, so to speak. And so movie stars like, I don't know if you know the names, but one fellow named Paul Newman, famous actor, he got a book from me. Actually, it was a small book, but he wasn't very interested. Famous singer Pat Boone, other stars, one fellow called Frankie Avalon. The thing about Pat Boone was he was a Christian, So when he just came up to me and he said, Hare Krishna. So he's a very soft-hearted man. And he took a book from me, gave a donation. And then he gave me a tiny little pamphlet about Jesus. But he was quite receptive. He really appreciated. So these were, you can imagine, very famous people. Clint Eastwood, I was selling him a book, but he decided not to take it. But I did meet him, and he knew about us. So these are famous people that I would meet.
Yeah, so maybe, I haven't heard the names, but these must be popular names and our online audience would must be knowing about it. So, yeah. So, I have seen you distributing Prabhupada books daily. Sometimes we take it as an, occasional thing, Gita Marathon in December, Gita Jayanti, or some Bhagavatam during that period. But what inspires you to go out every day distributing Prabhupada books?
I think that, of course, everyone has their nature. I think that my nature is to meet people, and of course, there's an inner inspiration to help these souls. From Srila Prabhupada's books, we know that if they don't get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then the soul takes much lower births in the next life. So that's a constant meditation. There's also a strong desire that Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasado, Yasya Prasada Nakatika Topi, that pleasing Srila Prabhupada will ultimately attract the attention of Krishna. So that's what my motive is, to keep distributing books. It's my guna and karma.
So I'm deeply touched by the compassion feeling of yours for the suffering people in general, that inspiring you to help them out.
Actually, I don't know if it's the arrangement of Providence, but when I went to meet Prabhupada, my name used to be Chris, and Chris can be a girl or a boy name in the West, Christine or Christopher. So when the devotee who was in charge of finding the names, selecting the names, and then giving them to Prabhupada, so Prabhupada was initiating us. There was maybe 300 devotees in this tiny building in Portland. In those days we were renting. And when Srila Prabhupada saw the name given, it was a girl's name. So Prabhupada was very, very annoyed. But it turned out for the best, because Kripanidhi means ocean of mercy. And Prabhupada chose it. He said, never mind, I'll choose your name. And he looked up in the air and he thought for a few moments and he said, your name is Kripanidhi Das. So, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. I'm grateful to you that you have come here and we are listening from you such wonderful unheard stories. So you're distributing books, but we have seen one image of your card in our advertisement posters for this show. That blue color, sky blue color card, very beautiful. So what inspired you to build that card?
Well, Mayapur campus is quite large, and we want to find the optimum spots where we can do optimum distribution, so the cart is mobile. In the West, they have these mobile carts which they can move around and sell their wares, different things. So this idea came to me, why not have a mobile cart, and I could move it around the campus and see which is the best spot. And it's also very attractive to people when they see it's all lit up and everything, and it's nice and it brings people over. So I got inspired internally, maybe by Super Soul, I don't know, Prabhupada, but I got inspired to do this venture and it's quite successful.
Yeah. So mainly the part of your book distribution journey was in West, but now you are distributing in Mayapur also. So what do you find the difference between West and here in India distributing books?
Well, of all the countries in the world, India is known as Punya Bhumi. If you go to America, it's Apunya Bhumi. And you're dealing with a lot of very rough people, you know, not too religious and not too pious. Taking birth in India is a very auspicious birth. And Srila Prabhupada even said to Brahmananda and Shyama Sundar, the first devotee, the first batch, he said, you may have been in India in your previous life, and then you took birth in America. My Guru Maharaj must have sent you to help me get the movement going. That's a statement from Srila Prabhupada. So, yeah, much different in the West, where people are very hostile. Certain people are very hostile. It's a great endeavor to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, and we always have to think of different ways of innovation, how to get the books into people's homes. So, quite different, quite a dramatic contrast between East and West. People here are extremely pious. They're intellectually very intellectual, and that's a great combination of religion and intellectual. They love reading. Much easier than in the West. Much easier.
Yeah, because in India people say, oh, we already know about these things. We are having these books with us. I mean, personally, I feel such a difficulty that whenever we go to distribute books, Bhagavad Gita, oh, we already have this.
That happens, but there's such an elaborate array of books now from the BBT that if they have a Gita, then they can get a Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita or many other books. They here in Mayapur, which is kind of one of the epicenters of book distribution in the world. Another great advantage is we don't have to jump in a van and drive 100 miles to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. People are coming to us, captive audience. It's a captive audience here, certainly. They're coming here to see this, the international flavor of Mayapur, European type people, white elephants, Prabhupada called it. It's a great astonishment for people who were subjugated. This nation was subjugated for hundreds of years by invaders, and Srila Prabhupada once said about Hari Sori, I have an Englishman serving me as my servant. And the British, they came here, you know, but now I have Englishmen serving me.
So I got the key point of your book distribution, that you try to distribute book rather than a particular with an agenda. Sometimes I find that we got stuck up that I want to give Gita only, Gita Marathon, but ultimately it's the compassion or the sympathy towards the reader that at least you should get something out of it. So my next question relates to this only, that can you please share some touching stories of book distribution in Mayapur?
In Mayapur, I have a program where we, for very poor village people, I will sponsor a Bhagavatam set. So I have sponsorship program for very poor village people who have no money. And sometimes I've had a very old man and his wife came a few weeks ago, and he was just totally into Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, definitely a descendant of Vaishnavas. And he was probably 80 years old with his wife, and he really wanted this Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he was, you know, quoting verses about Lord Chaitanya. And I said, okay, you can have this. I subsidized it. He didn't have much money, so I still had it subsidized. And there were tears in his eyes, and he was just bowing down and touching my feet, and you can see so much devotion in this person. Probably his entire life he's been a devotee of the Lord, a Vaishnava. So that was very touching. He was extremely authentic, very authentic in his emotions and his desire to have the life of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Amazing. I mean, it's such a wonderful contribution in someone's life that we are giving them what they actually need. So, I mean, with this heart-touching experience, if you allow me, I would like to play a audio clip of this 2 minutes, wherein somehow I got this audio clip where one devotee is sharing this experience of.
Okay. So this is a clip from one of my book distribution adventures.
Yeah.
Okay, this was during COVID. My wife must have given it to you clandestinely. Should I say surreptitiously? We have it on our phone. The speakers.
You were knocking on our door that one day and
Yeah,
just being asked
there you
them. Hi, Crip. This is Reena Prasad. I don't know if you fully remember me. We lived on St. Paul Street in Kamloops, and you knocked on our door one day. I just wanted to take a moment and tell you, you knocking on our door that one day and gifting us those big books. I remember looking at them thinking, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to find the time to read this? But I wanted to take a moment and tell you, you knocking on our door and gifting us those books has changed our world completely. And I'm so grateful. I just finished saying my prayers and I looked at those books. And I just want to tell you that I'm so grateful and that you and your family have been and always will be in our prayers. And thank you so much for that gift, because we live in Krishna consciousness. We live there. And I thank you. I always did. But my husband, he's on the 8th canto. And he's doing really well. And he's a changed man. And I got to thank you for it. So I was just saying my prayers, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give Krip a quick message and let him know just how grateful we are for you stopping into our house that one day, because that one move changed everything for us in our life. So thank you.
So a very heart-touching experience. Can you, share what happened exactly? What she was sharing? Would you like to elaborate a little bit?
This was 2019, I believe, Christmas marathon, and we lived in Sharanagati village, which is in Canada, near Vancouver. And no one was allowed to go door to door. No one was allowed to go in the streets. So we just, if we were stopped at any time by the police, we would say, no, we're just putting pamphlets on each, at the doorstep. We're not going inside, So they allowed us. So we chose an area where a lot of yoga people live, a lot of people interested in Eastern religions. And this fellow opened the door, and he was a huge guy, 6'5", really big, and he was a hunter. typical in rural Canada and America. They all love their guns and they do a lot of hunting. There's so much wildlife in Canada. Anyway, he invited us in, and it turned out his wife is actually born in Canada, but her parents are from Fiji and they're Hindu. So there was Shiva there, and he was very interested. Anyway, they got the Bhagavatam set, and I came to Mayapur in 21, I believe, and then when did you come? Anyway, at Christmas 21, she sent me this message, and she outpouring of gratitude and emotion because, I mean, her husband sold all his guns. he stopped eating meat. He became a devotee, and he goes on Bhagavad Gita Zoom classes once a week, and he just absorbs this Srimad Bhagavatam. He just drinks the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam every day. He's completed the entire 12 cantos now. So just with a little bit of effort and a little bit of endeavor, these people's lives were changed and transformed. And this is Srila Prabhupada's promise to us that even if they touch my books, their lives can change. They can become perfect, just even they touch my books. And Prabhupada was just mentioning to one of his servants that Krishna comes every day and it dictates to me. So Arjuna was empowered by Krishna to accomplish Krishna's plans and his desire to get rid of the demoniac kings. So similarly, Prabhupada was a great empowered personality, and these books are non-different from Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, and they're powerful. They act on the heart, and we could obviously experience this with this couple, that it's transformed their heart, change of heart. They had a complete change of heart just by reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day.
So I can imagine that how many lives must be transformed by your book distribution. Like this was just an example, and very heart touching how she was sharing that such a big transformation in her life. You were mentioning that while distributing books, then it was not allowed to distribute on streets, and police become alarmed. So was there any time when you got arrested while distributing books?
Well, that is the very common occurrence in the West, that when we were going out distributing books, they would arrest us. People would complain that we were harassing people. Just like we saw the play today, even the Brahmins in Navadvip were complaining to the Kazi, these people are a botheration. So many times I've been arrested. Very hostile energy coming from other religions. Traditionally, they think that the West is for Christians, and so on. So those were mainly who complained a lot. The police would come and try to, dampen our enthusiasm. But we were very young guys. We didn't care. They would throw us in jail, but there was no leg to stand on. Constitutionally, freedom of religious expression. So many times I would go to court for promulgating Krishna consciousness, and the judge would throw it out. And we had no choice. It's unconstitutional. But the harassment was there, police harassment, and so on. Nowadays, at least in Canada, the police are trained to, there's a whole workshop or seminar they do about groups that are preaching in the streets of American Canada, and they're educated. One of the police is actually a devotee, a Vaishnava that does the training in Canada. And so he was making a presentation. He said, You know, there's one person in this room, these are all the police cadets, that's a Hare Krishna. You know, you think they're a dangerous cult or something, but there's one person in here who is a Hare Krishna devotee. And they're wondering, looking at each other. He said, I'm your teacher and I'm a Hare Krishna. And he was teaching them how to deal with us and how to understand what we're actually trying to do. Of course, the demoniac people, they're always annoyed or agitated. When they see someone preaching about God, they become agitated. That is the problem. It's a perennial problem. Yeah, devotees and demons. Yeah.
So it was a regular practice, like, police were arresting and then getting released. But you ever been really in some danger while distributing books? Apart from this, have you experienced some danger?
Well, during the Christmas marathon, which is a big time for book distribution, we would go out sometimes till Mangalarti. Yeah, we would go out. I mean, people are in the streets, like these cities like Los Angeles, big cities, Toronto. People are all night partying and bars are open till 6 in the morning. So I remember working outside of bars because that's where the people would go late at night selling books, and some of the drunk people would. One fellow, he jumped in the van. We had Sankirtan vans traveling, you know. And I said, well, you have to get out. And he said, no. And he was sitting there, and I said, you have to get out. I called the police. So he eventually got out, but he took his hand, a big guy, and he just punched the windshield as hard as he could, and put a crack in the window, but I'm sure that his bones were all crushed. And he was totally intoxicated. So things like this would happen. People would sometimes violently attack us. And then most of the time, we prayed to Lord Nrsingadev, and the outcome was always quite good. There have been cases where devotees were put in hospital or were killed, like in Africa. Ladini Shakti was killed by the pseudo-president of that country because she spoke out against his subjugation or persecution of the people. So it is a dangerous type of occupation to go out into the public where there are many demoniac elements there. And there's always that danger, but of course, when you put yourself out there, you're depending on Krishna. So you have to remember Krishna. You have to remember Lord Nrsingadev. You have to pray to Lord Nityananda, who is the original door-to-door Bhagavad preacher. And he was attacked, 500 years ago, what to speak of now. So this is a common occurrence for devotees to be attacked and confronted and so on. So we developed a mood of taking shelter of the Lord when we're on Sankirtan. We definitely are forced to take shelter of the Lord. So it's a very good way of depending on the Lord, getting out of your comfort zone, so to speak, and taking shelter. Many times, our Sankirtan leader would drop us off in the middle of America. I remember you get dropped off at a shopping mall. These are large shopping malls. And you just greeting people as they come out. You don't greet them when they're going in. They complain. So they'd be coming out, we greet them, give them a book, or sometimes we give them incense and then a book. And then you'd see the police looking for us, and we'd hide underneath the cars, the parked cars. It was always a constant adventure. One time the police arrested us. They used to have these drive-in theaters at night. So we'd sneak in and we'd be distributing books. We got arrested, taken down to the police station. And I was selling a Bhagavad Gita to the police officer. And my partner was, don't do that. You're making things worse. But many times I have experience where police would come, they get complaints, and then I'd sell them a Gita. In Canada, sometimes the police are Punjabis, big guys, Kshatriyas. And this one Punjabi, he came and Christians had complained. He ended up buying a Bhagavad Gita, and then the next year when I met him, a year later, he had a Sanskrit verse tattooed on his arm, Sarvadharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vacha. His partner was Canadian, and he bought a Bhagavad Gita. So sometimes it's an opportunity to distribute Prabhupada, give Prabhupada to the government officials.
So, like as you mentioned, it's really inspiring from inside that how valuable this service is, distributing Prabhupada books. But I want to emphasize on one point and want to hear from you that while distributing books, it becomes the responsibility of ours that we should study Srila Prabhupada books thoroughly. So do you find that it is missing somewhere?
Well, there has to be a balanced program. So we found, like a lot of times, it was just two brahmacharis in a van traveling everywhere and anywhere, like thousands of miles. So we'd have our morning program, and the more you distribute the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, the more you distribute these books, the more you're able to drink the nectar. You get more and more taste to read Prabhupada's books the more you distribute them, is what we found. So we had this incredible hunger and thirst after distributing to read these purports by Srila Prabhupada and to remember the various instructions and examples and the narratives in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Is wonderful. So basically, it's a heart experience. You're actually living the Bhagavatam. The more you distribute, the more you are able to absorb it, is what we found. And we always, many times, the Sankirtan team was comprised of two brahmacharis, sometimes 4 brahmacharis. It was a great way to absorb the nectar of Sukadeva Goswami, discussing with Cricket Maharaj. So, yeah. And we also felt when you're in very remote areas, you can imagine, and you're out there distributing these books, and these are Srimad Bhagavatams people are getting, And sometimes you could feel the acharyas. You could feel the presence of the acharyas, especially many times I'd feel like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, He's the pioneer of spreading Krishna consciousness. Of course, we always bring to Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes you could feel the acharyas, the 6 Goswamis, empowering you to, convince people to take Prabhupada's books. So we never felt alone, although we were thousands of miles away from a temple. Yeah.
Yes, very takeaway point, at least for me, that when we are distributing books, more we distribute, the taste we develop to absorb the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is very encouraging. That I heard several times that devotees say, I am not reading, so how can I distribute? Somebody will ask me, oh, what's that in this book? So I don't know. But it's like vice versa. It is said as a balanced approach.
Yeah, it's reciprocal. You give, then you get. You give and receive. The more you give, the more you receive. And that is the, Prabhupada said, distribution of his books, non-different from chanting the Sankirtan. It's nothing but kirtan inside his books. It's nothing but kirtan. Right? So, it's Brihat Madanga, as Bhakti Sarana. said, Brihat Madanga, so it's going all over the world. I remember Srila Prabhupada was lying in his bed in November 77, and he was speaking, and he was saying, those rascals, those people in the West, you know, there was so much adverse publicity. He said they're wondering how this old man is still beating on his drum. I remember him saying that lying in the bed. He's still beating on his drum. So Srila Prabhupada is still beating on his drum. Although his Vapu is not here, his Vanu keeps spreading, his drum beating keeps going. Brihat Madanga. And it'll keep going for a long time. These books are unadulterated. They are completely pristine, and the strain of the parampara, the thread of the parampara is present in every word. Very powerful, very powerful. To change someone's life who was a hunter, meat eating cows every day, it speaks for itself, you know, it speaks for itself.
So, what message would you like to give to our youth related to book distribution?
Yeah, Prabhupada would say, if you want to please me, then preach as vigorously as I did. One time Prabhupada was coming from the hospital, he had a heart attack, and they wanted to take him to a nice tropical place to relax and recuperate. He said, Prabhupada, no, but there were some preaching opportunities. Prabhupada looked at, I think it was Ramaswar Prabhu, and he said, don't take away my right to preach for Krishna, to struggle for Krishna. So we want to push ourselves out to the masses, and then we will get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his disciples and Srila Prabhupada. But we have to make an effort to preach vigorously. There's so many ways of preaching, and not only book distribution, but we want to be involved in this missionary movement to deliver the souls. Welfare work, people think, oh, I'm a welfare worker, you know, I open hospitals. We have the greatest hospital. We're delivering people from eternally from death and disease and old age and birth. You know, this is the best hospital. You can, the best medicine in H.E.O. Shadi Maya Nashibara Ragi. We have the medicine that will cure your disease forever. Forever. So it is our business as spiritual doctors, to inject the medicine and take every opportunity we can to distribute the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, mercy of Krishna. Every opportunity, wherever you go, have a little book with you. If you're shy, just pay for the book and give it, and gradually you'll learn how to sell it. And actually, any honest person, you put a book in their hand and they see some value in it, they'll be obliged to give you something. So you depend on Krishna that he will arrange the money to cover the costs. It's all dependence on the Lord. And by some great magic, this whole movement's built on, by the book distribution. You know, purity is the force, preaching is the essence, utility is the principle, and books are the basis. Prabhupada said this, right? And he also said, by hook or crook. So, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's describing that Lord Chaitanya invented many novel ways to attract the conditioned souls. So we have to think how to use our intelligence and how to be innovative to get people to take up Krishna consciousness and take books. I remember when we were doing a big cowboy rodeo. We have these rodeos with cowboys, you know, and the whole beef industry, basically, the cow industry, very popular. And we were dressed in dhoti, and we're distributing, and of course, those kind of people are very hostile about, vegetarians. So my leader, he's GBC, he was with us traveling, and he called Srila Prabhupada up in Chicago. Prabhupada was in Chicago. But Prabhupada, we're having a hard time dressed in dhoti. These are all they're celebrating, basically celebration of cow killing, rodeos. Prabhupada said, you can wear cowboy outfits. He said, just go and get some cowboy hats and cowboy outfits, but distribute my books. That was the message Prabhupada gave us, that whatever it took. We could wear normal clothes, suits and ties or whatever, and not hippie clothes. Prabhupada mandated that, endorsed that we could use these different types of techniques to spread Krishna consciousness. Of course, we have to be careful that people go away with a good taste. If you're too overzealous or a little too overdoing, you might sell a book, but if the person walks away with a bad taste, so we have to learn the art of giving compassion and giving these books in a compassionate and loving way, so people go away feeling benefited and valued. Not that they walk away and they're going, what just happened? So we're learning how to have a balance in our preaching methods. Srila Prabhupada inspired us so much to just do the impossible. We opened up the airports in America. One devotee went, he'd get arrested, then we'd get a lawyer, and he would invoke the First Amendment, and then the airports were obliged to allow us. And those airports, when we opened them all up in the States, it was a huge benefit for book distribution, massive. The book distribution just increased, exponentially by opening up the airports. Extremely ecstatic. Notwithstanding the fact that, there was a lot of opposition. People didn't really, airport officials didn't really like us too much. But this is the idea that we're revolutionaries. We're revolutionaries, and we take advantage of any situation to inject Krishna consciousness and push back Kali Yuga. The whole world is dominated by the personality of Kali. Animal slaughter, prostitution, gambling, and meat eating, and intoxication. So that is the four pillars of the Western civilization, and we're pushing back on it. We're going to inject this Krishna consciousness, even if they don't want it. That's our business. You may not want it, but it's good for you. It's a bitter pill, but in the end, it'll be very sweet. If the world and government leaders become transformed and become Krishna conscious, the whole world will change. That's Lord Chaitanya's his long-term, his goal, and his mission. Otherwise, we know that so many empires, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, the Mughal Empire, all these empires have come and gone. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu is the emperor of the Brahmins. This is the real empire, the empire of this Sankirtan movement. And one day Sridham Mayapur will be a huge, this will be the center, the epicenter of the Sankirtan movement all over the world. There'll be millions and millions of pilgrims coming here to celebrate Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace, Gaur Purnim. That's in the future. Obviously, Lord Chaitanya's predicted it. He's God himself. The Christians have one little book, and there's other religions, and here we have 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have so many literatures that is totally pure and authentic and unadulterated. So this is the plan, the army of devotees going out to defeat the agents of Kali. Yeah. And that Papa was constantly preaching, constantly. What are the scientists saying today? What are the politicians saying? Like that. He was just training us up constantly. You know, how to, pinpoint who is the target. Scientists, they're the target. People in general, we have to transform them, the innocent people. And the politicians, well, they're demonic. They're there to collect taxes and become powerful, famous, and rich. So this is the problem in Kali Yuga. And so let us change, make change.
So, time is less, but I wanted to hear more and more from you. So I would like to invite you again and again in our talk shows, and our audience would be so happy to hear from you, because you are exemplary. You are studying thoroughly. You have diving yourself into Srila Prabhupada purports. Your lectures reflect those teachings and realizations, and your activities of distributing books, Srila Prabhupada books. So the theme which we derived today for our talk show, book distribution, his life and soul. So I am that end to realize this point that yes, definitely book distribution is his life and soul. And I can feel that from inside, from the core of my heart, that yes, I should also join you to distribute books enthusiastically. And I was recalling when you were speaking that more than 5 decades, rather than more than that, when Srila Prabhupada was not having any resources, some literature, some magazines, some books, and he was distributing one by one. He was going to the tea stall and getting rejected, but there were so moments of disappointments, but he was never discouraged. And the same thing I can feel in you. We have so many resources, so many bookstores, so many publishing houses, but still you are doing like your father. You are going one by one, one to one, one to one, one to one. You're not like sitting on a chair. You are having a team of book distributors and they are distributing and you're just noting down an account. No, you are going one by one, and that the concept of that beautiful cart, movable cart, that wherever the audience is, I will approach them. So I am 100% convinced that book distribution is your life. So I would really love this talk show. I heard so many things about books distribution in my past 15 years of Krishna consciousness journey, but this show is the most encouraging and the most special one for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please excuse any offenses I made. I hope I didn't talk too long.
No, I had made an offense that why this had to stop now. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.